welcome to the Pittsburgh Nerd Podcast vlog. I'm Sean. I'm your host. So this weekend, we really didn't get a chance to touch on the DC Fandome event that they had, where they released a bunch of new information about their upcoming movies, TV shows, and I wanted to touch on a few of those. I'm sure I'll get more in depth on the podcast this week, talking to Ian about the Batman trailer, because that was a full reel trailer. The others were basically sizzle reels, kind of letting you know, like, hey, this is what it kind of looks like. So I'll start with the Flash. This is one of the more interesting movies. I was kind of surprised they didn't have a full trailer at this point. They've been in production for a while. So I thought for sure that at least have like a 1 minute like trailer. Instead, they kind of, I guess they kind of did. I mean, it was, but I was expecting more of a formal trailer, I guess. I don't know. I liked I liked the new Flash suit. Okay, I know it's a little bit more reminiscent of the new 52 suit, but I like that they got away from the armor looking suit. I didn't care for that myself. I let it go because, what the hell. And again, I think one of the hardest things, I've said this before, I think one of the hardest things in the world is to take what looks really, really good on a comic book page and make it work in real life. So, and the Flash suit is one of those things where it's like, it's just a big red, leotard essentially with the Flash logo. So there are nuances to it, but you get what I'm saying. I mean, it's not something that's easy to translate to real life and make it look not cheesy. You know what I mean? So I like the look of that suit with the way it holds the speed force in the lining. I like the look of the Batcave. It looks like it hasn't been used in a very long time. So I'm intrigued to see how this Bruce Wayne is. Where is the 1989 Bruce Wayne? It's been 30 plus years, so I'm intrigued to see where that goes. You get the look of the cow, the old school cow at the end, which was nice. Is that the 89 Burton Batmobile under that sheet? I hope so. I really do. 'Cause that's out of that era, the Tim Burton, Joel Schumacher era. Like, that original Batmobile is as impractical as it is, and all of them were impractical. But it was just so long. It had the turning radius, of I don't even know what. I mean, it just, it's the coolest looking of them. I always thought the other, like the Joel Schumacher Batmobiles, always looked goofy because they were like, had neon lights all over them, and it didn't look as cool to me, the Joel Schumacher versions. But the Burton version, that seemed like a realistic, quote unquote, version of the Batmobile. Like, that's something that Batman would drive. It's not my favorite version of the Batmobile. That is still the Tumbler. But and we'll get into it later. But yeah, so like I liked what I saw from this sizzle reel, this mini trailer. It gave you absolutely nothing. Little hints of things here and there, but overall it gave you nothing. Just a look at like what the feel of the movie is probably going to be, and I'm kind of looking forward to that. You know, the whole Flashpoint storyline has always been very interesting to me. I've always liked that, and I like the idea. I'm intrigued to see how they portray that, what they do with it, how this all plays out. So I like that a lot. Next was Shazam. You got a little look at the next Shazam movie, Fury of the Gods. You got to see Helen Mirren and Lucy Liu as the main villains. I'm not going to pretend like I am steeped in Shazam lore, because I am not. You know, my viewings of the character have always been via. I've never read the Shazam comic books, but I have from cartoons, from the Justice League, from Young Justice. Also in the comic books, usually anytime he was involved with the Justice League. What was the one? I can't remember. But when they were all old, I can't remember which one that was. But that I always like that version of the books or the character. So I'm not gonna pretend like I'm steeped in the lore of Black Adam or Shazam, but I think the great thing about the first movie is how much fun it was. It was a fun movie. And you get to the end, and you got. It gave you everything you would expect from a Shazam movie. I thought. I thought it was well played. I enjoyed it. It was just, like I said, it was fun. That was like one of the things. Like, this couldn't be like Superman. This couldn't be like Batman. This couldn't be like in that dire dark, because the character is not that way. Not that Superman is, but I think the that's a whole nother rabbit hole. But I feel like this character, it needed to be a fun, lighter movie, and I thought they did that very well. And I'm expecting much of the same from the second movie. Lucy Liu and Helen Mirren, they're both fantastic actresses who I expect good performances from. They're both professionals, they're both amazing actresses, and I'm not expecting them to come in here and perform Hamlet. I'm sure it's not what this is, but I'm expecting, I know they're going to give a good performance. If Helen Mirren can give a good performance in a Fast and Furious movie, she can do it here. You know what I mean? So, I think overall, I'm looking forward to this. The looks that they gave us. Again, they showed us very little. There were a couple of nice shots of Shazam with looked like some real damage, like some lightning damage or something, which I thought was interesting. So I'm looking forward to seeing how this movie plays out. But I'm expecting it to be a light, fun movie that is. Something something like that, fun for the whole family, which is what this movie should be. Next is Black Adam, and again, you really didn't get much from this. You kind of got your first look. I think what's interesting is the characters that are being brought into this movie. Hawkman, Dr. Fate, Atom Smasher, particularly Dr. Fate. Pierce Brosnan as Dr. Fate, that is just... that's great casting. I can't wait. Dr. Fate is one of those characters that, again, I haven't, read a ton of stuff about Dr. Fate, so I'm not going to, pretend like I know a ton. But when he has appeared in comic books or cartoons that I've watched, I've always enjoyed the character. Even like in Smallville, I like the whole Doctor Fate mythos. So like, I get excited when like a character like this gets like, because you never in my life did I think I'd see Doctor Fate on the big screen. Let's just put it that way. Never in my life did I think I'd ever see Doctor Fate on the big screen. So let alone Hawkman, So I'm hoping that both of those characters are done justice. Dwayne's going to be, I have no doubt this is a passion project for Dwayne Johnson. I have no doubt that he is going to bring his A game to this. This is something that he really, really wants to do. He's been attached to this for a number of years, so it's awesome that it's finally being made. And I like the direction. Like it looked interesting, and like I said, I like the characters that are kind of going to be involved in this, and I'm intrigued to see how this all plays out, and how they fit him. Like, when do we see Shazam versus Black Adam? I guess is what you're kind of looking at here, because they're pulling from the same energy source essentially. So I'm very intrigued to see how this goes and how they kind of explain that, and is the next movie Shazam versus Black Adam, because that could be a whole lot of fun. But this does look a bit darker, and like some of the characters like Dr. Fate, like Hawkman, they are darker characters. They're not characters who are normally out in the sunlight. So to speak, So I'm very intrigued to see how this plays out. Again, you saw very little to nothing, just glimpses here and there of things, but what I saw, I was very intrigued by. And lastly is the Batman trailer with Robert Pattinson as Batman. This is my takeaway from the trailer. This is a brutal Batman. This does not look like a Batman that we've seen before. Probably the Affleck Batman is probably as close as you're going to get to this, but this seems like he is an extremely brutal form of vengeance. They're playing him younger in this one, and I feel like this is I've always felt like any other Batman that's been portrayed has always kind of been over the death of his parents. Like, the death of his parents haunt him, but he doesn't let that drive him. What drives him is the need for justice, the justice that his parents didn't get. But the death of his parents is something that he's kind of worked his way through. This Batman does not seem that way. He is still raw and angry about the death of his parents. And I think it's apparent in like the type of violence that you're seeing from him. Like, even the Batmobile in this movie, which I do like. I know a lot of people were like, it just looks like a car. Well, okay, that's great, but it's a badass looking car. It looks like something that, like, your first time out, if you were Batman, that you would like, okay, I'm gonna take a brand new Charger, I'm gonna soup it up, and then I'm gonna reinforce it. Like, this is what it looks like he did, which is something that I could imagine. Like, I can't build it from scratch, but I can do this. Later Batmobiles will come down the line, I'm sure, but this thing just looks bestial. Like, when it comes flying, like at the end of that trailer, when it comes flying through and hits the penguin, I mean, that was just like, oh my! Like, it just looks and feels like a beast, and I love it. And I love that this Batman is a bit more brutal and a bit more raw. But the only thing that bothers me is one of the things that everybody talked about going into this movie is we will finally see the Dark Knight detective. And I'm hoping that comes out because it hasn't come out in the trailers yet. You know, any Batman movie that we've seen, you've never seen the Dark Knight detective. You know, he's supposed to be the greatest detective in the world. And none of the movies have ever portrayed that. Like, he's always reacting. He's never, you know, at the forefront. Like, you know, he's always reacting to the villain. It's a constant reaction. And then finally he goes to their lair or whatever. You know, he falls into their trap. And even though while he may be able to evade the trap at the end, it wasn't his detective skills. I think the Dark Knight tried to do that a little bit with, like, you know, the whole gun thing, with the creation of the bullet and the fingerprint and everything that was involved with that. Like, I think that was what they were trying to do with that. But overall, I don't think you've ever seen the real Dark Knight detective. And I think they're trying to, you know, that was one of the things that they said they wanted to do with this movie was, you know, go back to those roots of him being the Dark Knight detective. And I hope it's there. You know, I'm judging off of 2 trailers that I've seen, both of which have given me very little except for the fact that this Batman is a brutal. He's not. Batman is a scalpel, and this one is a hammer. It feels like, you know, like in the comic books, he is surgical in how he does things, and this one so far, from what I've seen in the trailer, he is not a surgical. He is just a wrecking ball, which I can appreciate, but I'm interested to see how this all plays out. So those are the four big movie trailers from Fandome. Those are my thoughts on them. I think we're going to delve deeper into that come the podcast with Ian, the Pittsburgh Nerd Podcast, found on most podcatchers. Just give us a search. We're very easy to find. So we'll probably delve deeper down that rabbit hole of the Batman trailer and things of that nature. Get more into, like, with the characters. Like, I just kind of gave some brief thoughts, but so we'll probably discuss that further then. But I want to give my thoughts on DC Fandome today before it gets too old. Like, by the time we get to it on Saturday, it'll be old news. But I do want to discuss it with them. So there you have it. That's the vlog for this week. Like I said, you know, we do have the podcast, the Pittsburgh Nerd Podcast, found on most podcatchers. Just give us a Google search. We're also on Facebook and Twitter. Just search Pittsburgh Nerd. We're very, very easy to find. And of course here, if you like what you've seen, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit notifications so you know when we post new stuff. All that jazz. So that's it. That's the show for this week. On that note, the dreamer has awakened.